the United Provinces, since the updates have been applied, everybody is much more aggressive towards the United Provinces since the modifications were automatically updated through Steam a few months ago. I've noticed that people talk about sea battles, and they want advice on how to conduct sea battles. It's something that I particularly enjoy, is the sea battles, and the United Provinces are a nation which rely extremely on the use of its naval power. I did Britain as the first campaign. I'm doing United Provinces now as my, 6th or 7th, I'm not too sure now. But I thought maybe some people would be interested in watching the sea battles. I've got lots and lots of videos done already of this. I've got up to about year 1707 when I begin this first video here, so I know roughly what's going to happen from here already. I expect after 1707, hopefully anyway, to narrate throughout. What you're seeing here is the beginning of the campaign, checking out what's going on in Europe, sending my agent off to over to the Prussian school in order to steal research. I just can't get research quickly enough by building my own, so I go over to Prussia to get it from there. I use my spy either to kill generals of armies, or I tend to use them to keep an eye on the enemy, just generally, not actually infiltrating, because there's a risk of actually losing him there. Here's the sea battle coming up now. I've speeded up this transition into the battle because it can take a lot longer than this. I noticed other people have talked about auto-resolving these. If you do that, you'll find that you'll lose one of your ships of this fleet, and you'll gain around about 400, 600, maybe even 700 sometimes in prize money. If you fight the battle, you can retain all 3 of your ships and make sure also that you capture all 3 of his. You'll notice in my sea battles that I tend to keep a sloop behind. The first 2 ships tend to surrender when you're attacking them, and the third one will rout. If you then just end the battle, that routing ship will manage to get away from the battle, and you won't get the prize money for it, and you won't either have the option of capturing the ship. So it's far better to fight the battle. Keep your sloop as much as possible unaffected by the battle, so that you can always chase down a routing ship. Doesn't matter how many men he's got on the ship. There can be 200 men on the ship, and it can be a galleon or whatever, and you'll send a sloop after it. It's got about 50 men on it. Doesn't matter. As soon as you get your grappling hooks into that routing ship, that's it, you've got it, and the game is over. I tend to use that at the very end of the game, of course. I wouldn't want a sloop to be in the middle of action chasing somebody down where it can get shot to pieces. But anyway, here's the sea battle. It's not going to finish on this video clip. It will go over into the next video clip, so please watch that one as well. And I hope there are some tips there for some people. You might find them a bit boring though, I'm afraid. The trouble is with sea battles is you tend to have to circle your enemy. When you circle your enemy, inevitably you'll fire across the enemy and your own ships as well at some point, which means that you have to take off the automatic fire. You have to then watch very carefully at the point that they've got past the point where they can hit their own ships, and then you re-invoke the firing. In order to do that, you either do the game on very slow, or you pause it a lot, and I'm afraid I pause it a lot, so it is a bit dull. I think the whole thing is over in about 10 minutes, this one, so it's not as bad as it could be. But it does, like I say, give 1 or 2 tips. You guys out there that are really, really quick, you might get the hang of this, see where the zones of fire are, and then suddenly disable the fire or the automatic fire on those, or even have all your ships on disabled automatic fire anyway, all of the time, and only choose to fire those ships when another ship comes into its range. The problem is when you get onto large sea battles and you've got 8 or 10 ships fighting each other, and you've got your shots going everywhere. You'll notice on a battle like this as well that I set my firing to chain shot. I do that on purpose so that I can take out the sails. The less damage that you do to the enemy ships, the more prize money you get for them. or the less time you need to spend repairing them once you get them into your port after the battle's over, if you decide to capture the ship. So I tend to do I tend to take out the sails. The morale goes down when they've got no more manoeuvrability and when they're dismasted. You have to be careful of that one, by the way, because dismasted can just mean that one of the masts is down and it can still move. Surrendered ships can come back into the action. It's very rare, but they come back when they start to get some success. So you do really need to keep the heads up once you've started to defeat them. So anyway, what typically happens is one or two of the ships will surrender. The first one to surrender, you need to be watching it, so you can then remove your other ship from the action against that and concentrate them more on the ships that are still fighting. Bigger ships like galleons, for instance, if you were to try and hit them with the chain shot, with brigs and things, they'll just blow you away with their artillery. You'll find you've got no guns left to carry on firing. So what you do with the big ships is you create hull damage to them. You do batter them because they can afford to lose quite a lot of hull capacity, if you like. And then what happens is when they get down to about, say, a third or a quarter of their hull strength, they will surrender. So you really do need to batter the hulls down of the larger ships. Try doing that with the smaller ships, unfortunately, and you can blow them out of the water, and again you're losing prize money and losing captured ships, so it's really not in your interest to do that. So a general rule is, it's not always the case, but a general rule is to go for the sails on the smaller ships, the least amount of damage, and like I said, sloop back. It's also a good idea when you're fighting galleons to keep your sloop back as well, of course, because if you're not taking his sails out and the galleon routes, you're going to need to chase it, and you need something quick to be able to chase it. Of course, that's your sloop. So a massive Spanish galleon there is getting hull damage, but it's still full sail, and it can sail off the map, and you'll get nothing. You'll get no prize money. You get no captured ship. Even though it shows a victory, that's no good to us as the Dutch. But as the Dutch, what we need to do is gain as much money as we can and improve our fleets as quickly as possible. So a galleon is worth 1,200, 1,400. I don't know what the Dutch currency is here, the dollar perhaps in this period. So it's worth a lot of money to us, or it's worth a powerful ship as well. So it's worth considering. Anyway, by the end of this time, I hope to get the sea battle in. If not, it will spill over into the next battle. So without further ado, sorry. I hope you enjoy this. I should mention, by the way, as well, that all the battles are on hard, and the campaign's on hard as well on this. We're playing the long campaign, so it is the campaign that will go the full 100 years of the period. I probably won't play it to the full 100 years, because at some point I expect, or rather hope, that I'll be in a position whereby it's quite clear that the Dutch are going to win the game, or of course it's quite clear that the Dutch are going to lose completely. I have played the Dutch a few times, by the way, just as a tester before I started recording this. It is possible to completely lose the game. All the European powers can gang up on you. One hits you, another one hits you, another one hits you, another one hits you, and they keep doing that over and over and over and over again. You haven't got the resources to fight it, and it kills you. If you do manage to build something up so that you can get some decent resources in through your naval power, what tends to happen is Europe being largely undefended, whacked by France, who puts a massive army on its fleet, brings it round, and just invades and managed to land and attack Antwerp all at the same time. I say Antwerp, yes, it is Antwerp, and then it's the end of the game. So it's a particularly vicious one. I've lost this, or I've been leading towards losing it, I would say 5 or 6 times already.